Lewis Smith wants to bring change to Summerville's District 1. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with Lewis one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores.
Well, Lewis.
Yes, sir.
It is so good to see you.
Yeah, everything is everything. Everything is moving right along.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Let me take you to, really, the Summerville General Scene article. And the headline reads this: Smith challenges Brown in town election. Let me go to the actual article. Lewis Smith, founder of the Community Resource Center, is challenging incumbent Aaron Brown to represent District 1 in this year's Summerville Town election. This will be Smith's second time running for council. He has also run for school board. He said his campaign slogan is, quote, "a new beginning for a brighter future," unquote. So where do we begin?
Where do we begin? We began, first of all, in looking at the whole district, or Summerville, if you will. It's not a secret that in Summerville we have a severe infrastructure problem. And that is that all the roads, everything is jammed all the time. Now, we believe that with how it's being done now is they want to do gentrification. They actually want to put a 5-lane highway through a low-income community. And it's going to displace that whole community entirely. So what we're looking at is how do we slow the pace down, or how do we make it workable or manageable? And that's what we're looking at the present time. There's no transit systems is not there in place. We have a lot of people walking to and fro to stores, maybe three or four blocks, 5 blocks. It's time for Summerville to realize that there is a new beginning that Summerville has. It's no longer a town, if you will, but it's a city. And all of us must work together to make things work properly in the town.
What got Summerville from a town to a city in your mind?
A lot of things. Obviously the weather. The people are fantastic in Summerville.
Sure.
And you know, we're part of the low country. Come on, Quintin. We are the low country. This is a beautiful area to migrate and to live in. But in that whole process, we as a people must not lose our culture and that so-called, if you will, southern flavor.
Let me take you to the other side, because
Please.
Mr. Brown actually says this, and he's actually finishing up his 4th term on council, but he says this: there is, quote, unfinished, unquote. And let me go more to that, because he said he would like to address with the town, like revamping the old National Guard Armory on Hickory Street. When you think of that armory, what sticks out in your mind?
When I think of the armory?
Yes, sir.
What comes to my mind is that area of the community really needs to be developed. The armory would work as that. The armory would work as basically what we're doing now at the Community Resource Center. As you know, Quintin, my family has given over almost $300,000 to that district in the last 5 years. And we believe in that community, and we are working hard in that community. I'm trying to look at the armory, and I hope what they're doing in making the armory possible is that they will consider that community. Now, that was a hub at one point in Summerville. It was a hub. All the baseball games and everything, football, what have you, was in that area. Through gentrification, they're no longer there at all. And we are wondering what they will be building the armory for. And that's what we have to look at very closely.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Brown says this, quote, "we're just now at the point of getting a contract and moving forward."
I'm glad he said that we're moving forward, but this has been in the makings for about 5 or 6 years, almost 15 years, 5 years since the armory was built. And we have to look at that. But that's really is not the most important issue that we are facing in Summerville.
Okay. And
that is that if it's there, let's say the armory is built, how would the citizens get there? A lot of citizens are walking there. And exactly what does he propose to be put in that armory? We, Team Lewis, believe that there are certain things that has to be put in that armory to make that a vibrant community. And when we look at armory, we're going to ask for certain things to be put in that armory. Okay?
You keep talking about gentrification, especially in Brownsville, and that residents, quote, haven't been informed to make decisions that will affect their lives. When you think of the future of Brownsville, what sticks out to you?
It's a very, to me, and I don't want to be an alarmist, Quentin, but can you imagine where they're routing this traffic, 20,000 cars going to once a sleepy community? That community will no longer be a sleepy community. Where would that traffic be? Off ramps? Where would that be? How would that go through? How would that navigate a residential area? Okay. And I believe that the people will be losing their value, their property value. I don't want our citizens to be real estate speculators. When someone says, well, there's no difference, we can get that zone commercial. Now, how can you tell someone that has lived in a property for 3 or 4 generations, well, your property will increase because we're going to do it commercial? So that you're telling me that in order to reap my benefits, I got to move out of my house? And then what happens with the tax structure within that community? And what happens to the close-knit churches? And you have 20,000 cars going through that. We have to look at it. Also, on that particular road, and I'm glad you brought this up, on that particular road, if you have 5-lane way, you have Alston Middle School on one end, Alton Elementary School.
Alston Bailey.
Alston Bailey was the elementary, Alston, which is the middle school. And your child is navigating a 5-lane traffic. That's not good. So we've got to look into the planning of that. We are proposing an overpath in that area. We want an overpath where the kids can actually walk in safety. And I don't want our kids to be navigating that area like that. But now we're talking the 5-lane highways. We're still talking a lot of traffic. And what a lot of people have been saying is that they're using this traffic, this area, to alleviate the traffic on Main Street. Okay, so you're destroying a whole community to alleviate the traffic on Main Street. That's not fair to the people who's been living there generations upon generations. And this is what's been happening in gentrification. You're aware of what's happening, obviously, in Charleston and North Charleston. Seems to me the same thing is repeating itself in Summerville.
Let me go back to the other side, because Brown said he would like to see the new ball field that Dorchester District 2 is building be restored for community use. The Carolina Youth Dixieland League used to play on the fields where the new Alston Bailey Elementary School was built. At a board meeting in August, the new ball fields were listed as, quote, in progress.
I'm so glad all this is in progress, Quentin. You have to look at the history. Let's go back to your original question. Sure. The Armory. Right. Where was the Dixie Youth played at? Right there, the Armory. The Armory. In that area called Doty Field. Right. That's where all they used to play there. The deal was made that they went to Brohagan. We fought, meaning me, and when we fought the name Alston Bailey. My group was the one, the Community Resource Center was the one that fought for that. Originally, this other side was not for the lights. Okay. We fought for those lights. We fought for the name Alston Bailey, and that's what came up. So the history, we must look at the history and must look at everything. Now, I think what you've seen here is they are saying everything is in the future. Right. Okay? Everything is in the future. These things should have been happening now. We should have had transit now. You have a lot of people walking with no transit. They decided to build a transit system over almost 3 miles away from the popular center. Why? When we have a lot of the low-income minority people have to walk there. There's no bike lanes. And all of this stuff plays into it.
Why politics? Why now with these issues?
Why what now?
Why politics? Why now in these issues?
And with me?
Why the hold up? Why the politics when you're dealing with issues such as trying to add sidewalks and overpasses and
That's a good question. I think what's happening, and basically what I hear my other side is saying, that there's been a lot of neglect, quite frankly. And now we decided, we, meaning Team Lewis, has come into this and said, we are ready for these changes, and we are standing with the people to make these changes. The drainage system in Summerville, Robin, Wynn, certain areas is pathetic. It needs a lot of work on it. The Armory is not one of the major issues facing District 1. You got where they're planning on zoning private property now, commercial, which has been traditionally a cultural hub for low-income minority people. That's now, they're zoning that. You got certain areas, what we call Germantown. They want to rezone that from R1 to R2, meaning you can have apartment, commercial buildings in front of the people.
Right.
Okay? Now you have to look at this rather strategically. You have to look, are you pro-business on the pro-business side or the pro-people side? And Team Lewis is on the people side. Okay? The infrastructure has got to be in place, and what we are working on. And go ahead.
Oh, no, you go for it.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking of this. When you're talking to those people, the constituents of District 1, what is the first question that they ask you?
The first question they ask me is, we do not have any representation. Will you represent us? I don't know whether you've seen the article when they were talking about the roads, when they're talking about these 20,000 cars coming through it. People was not aware. People was not aware that their land was going to be taken. You know, and the person, the lead engineer said, well, we had a meeting sometime in March, and now he's jumping forward this, and the people were not aware. And people are upset, quite naturally, they're upset. A whole community is going to be wiped out. A whole community. Can you imagine 20,000 cars going through a particular community and all the traffic going one way? It's very difficult. So we can't be misled in all this stuff. And when I see things like the contract is close, this is here, this should have been done a long time ago. The focus should have been on this area, District 1.
We know you as the director of the Community Resource Center, but when you take off your giving hat and your political hat, who is Lewis Smith?
That's a good question. Who is Lewis Smith? First of all, I believe in God. Okay, and that Lewis Smith is a caring, giving person. I like traveling, of course, and I like being with my 5 grandkids and what have you. But yeah, that's where I'm at mostly. I'm dedicated to the community, and I'm dedicated as to what I expect and what I hope to see. But mostly it's that's Lewis. Family. If you would define Lewis in 3 words, you know, it would be family, our country, and God.
That is good to hear. Well, Lewis Smith, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, sir.